Good morning, Sunny Hill. It's Thursday. I'm Teresa. We're back looking at humility. And today's verse is found in Proverbs again in chapter 22, verse 4, where it says, "Humility is the fear of the Lord. Its wages are riches and honour and life." That sounds good, doesn't it? But what does the fear of the Lord mean? Well, I have a fear of snakes and rats. I don't like them. I don't want to be near them. They scare me. That's not the fear that it's talking about here. The fear it's talking about here, for me, is about I don't want to be in a position where I'm not living in God's will. I don't do what God wants me to do. So there's lots of emotions wrapped up in that sentence. And the fear of God can be terror, honor, submission, worship, all sorts of things. Now, as a believer, I want to please God. I want my actions and my words, my deeds, my life. When we give our lives to God, we hand over our lives effectively to be used by Him, and to be used in a good way. And so the fear of the Lord is not living in that way that He wants us to live. I don't want to be in a position as a Christian where I live a life that is not honouring to Him. So the fear of the Lord is about worshipping Him, living for Him, honouring Him in all that I do, because I want one day to stand before Him and Him to say, "Well done, you good and faithful servant." And so the fear of the Lord for me is not about a physical fear like it is if I was in a room with rats or snakes. It's about a fear of not doing and living a life that God wants me to live. I hope that makes sense. And so for those that are enemies, we understand the fear, because that fear of the Lord can be the same as the rats and the snakes, because we don't know God. If we don't know God, that's how it can be. But for those of us that do know God, it's about wanting Him to be pleased with what we do, how we live our lives for Him. And here, as we're talking about humility, God is telling us humility is the fear of the Lord. So we are happily wanting to, or should be happily wanting to, humble ourselves so that we do it God's way and not our way, because that makes God happy. And its wages are riches and honour of life. That doesn't mean to say we're going to have a big fat bank account. It doesn't mean to say that we're going to get all that we want. What it means is we're going to please God. We're going to please God, and that should be the ultimate goal for us, to live our lives in a humble way, and to have that fear of the Lord. A fear of upsetting Him should be something that we have, because its wages are then riches and honour of life. And that means that, like we've said earlier in the week, our reward one day will be in heaven, not on this earth. And they're the sorts of things that we should be seeking. That's what we should be seeking. That's what I want for my life. I hope that's what you want for yours too. And so it's about looking at our lives. It's about living. It's about looking at the way that we live our lives and think, do I have idols in my life? Are there things that I worship more than God? Are there things that I worship more than God? Just take a moment to think about that. Do I hunger after a big fat bank balance? Do I hunger after the latest gadget? Do I hunger about having a fancy car? Do I hunger about, I don't know, whatever it might be? Whatever it might be. Do I want that? Do I hunger for that more than I hunger for God in my life? Do I hunger for what the world says I need rather than what God says I need? It's hard, isn't it? It's tough. Well, I really would question and ask you to, as I question myself, that we need, again, to be before God. That's why He says, submit yourself to me daily. Because every day I need God's help to live it the way that He wants me to live it. Every day I need His wisdom to show me how to live it in a humble way, to keep that fear of the Lord, in order to obtain what He wants me to do and not what I want to do. So it's about, I guess, treating God as a believer with the respect that He deserves, with the reverence that He deserves, in awe rather than in fear. You know, it means that for me, the fear of the Lord as a Christian, as a believer, is that I want to be respectful to God. I want to show God reverence. I want to show him a submission, because his ways are better than my ways. When I do it my way, I get it stuffed up. So you go away, you talk to God and ask him what he wants to change in your life in order to show that humility, to show those characteristics that we've been talking about. And come back and we will finish off the week tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye-bye.